Thank you for tuning in to another episode of Locked On Bulls. On today's episode, we're breaking down Dalen Terry and the Summer League Chicago Bulls' most recent game when they blowout victory that got whittled down to about 10 points by the end of the game. We'll also be talking about AK's comments during the game when he was interviewed. And lastly, the NBA Board of Governors have voted to keep the play-in as a permanent thing, and they're talking about an in-season tourney. We'll break all this down and more on today's Locked On Bulls.
You are Locked On Bulls, your daily podcast on the Chicago Bulls, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
You were tuned in to Locked On Bulls, member of the Locked On Podcast Network, where it's your team every day. That's Pat, the designer, a.k.a. Big Yella, host and creator of the Windy City Breeze. I'm Haize, host and creator of Chicago Bulls Central and Chicago Bears Central. And we're in today. Hey, listen, bro. I told you. You got to get a T-shirt that just says Big Yellow on it, bro.
That was so funny, bro. He just came, bro. The YouTube comments, man. If y'all ever get a chance to like peruse what some of the disrespect that some of the people be saying to us, and thinking we not gonna comment back, like.
Man, listen, that is hilarious, bro. And the funny thing about it is, too, right, is, before we get to the basketball talk, is that people really feel like, hey, I can say whatever I want to YouTubers. And then the moment you say something back, it's like, you're punching down. Why are you messing? No, man, listen, this is my.
Bro. Hey, listen,
come on, listen.
It's a Chicago podcast. We fry.
You don't get to come in our house, say whatever you want, and think we're not going to get on you. Period.
Yeah, we will bake you for fun. Man, what did we say the other day? We was in the YouTube comments and we just started frying AK's shirt. And I was like, why did we all just start frying AK's shirt during the Summer League game?
Listen, we will fry anyone about anything at any time. That's like, period. That's just what will happen. But let's get into this Summer League game. Dalen Terry had his best game of Summer League, best all-around game, I would say, in Summer League thus far. Yeah. But we had Carlik Jones stepped up, being 100% from the field as well. But we kind of try to focus on the players that are going to actually be on this Bulls roster this season. So what do you think about the game from Dalen Terry to start? What do you think about his game last game?
I like Dalen Terry's game. I think it was a little bit of a surprise. And this is why I tell people don't really pay attention to Summer League at all, because they're working on specific things at Summer League. They're teaching them the terminology and they're teaching them different things that they want to do. Dalen Terry did not pass the ball much in this game. Dalen Terry was out there to attack the basket, attack the rim, which surprisingly, AK during his interview, and we'll get into that, said that he likes, right? So we'll see kind of how that all plays out. But Dalen Terry was being more aggressive on the offensive end, and I think it showed you, right, that he's going to be a player that can get downhill. He's going to be a player that can get to the bucket, and is going to be used kind of in that capacity as well. And, listen, I think the thing with him is, right, he seems to thrive off of it. I don't know if you saw it, but there was a couple plays where, like, he came down there, got a tough lay, got the finish, didn't get the foul. He's flexing and talking trash, and I'm like, well, okay. I mean, like, I ain't mad at it. I like the spice that Dalen Terry got that comes with him, man. Sam Smith can get it. Buddy on the other side of the court can get it. It don't really matter. So I think you need a player
Patrick
like
Williams can get it.
Patrick Williams can get it. I feel like Patrick Williams gave him the business, though. We never did find out how that went for Dalen Terry on that.
Yeah, we need to get a little bit more info on that. But one of the things that I do like as well about Dalen Terry, and you kind of mentioned it when you said attack the basket, is his ability to get to the free throw line. If that can develop for him early into his career, we're talking about especially if DeMar gets a hold of him and really mentors him. Because one of the things, I think you said it actually, is that, is he going to be the DeMar replacement, right? As DeMar gets ready to fade off, are they going to be looking to bring in Dalen Terry because of his ability to stuff the stat sheet? But if he can be that DeMar-esque player to get to the free throw line, that's going to really make it easy for him to get points and be effective early on. His shot, he still has some shot mechanic things that I will say that when he takes some certain jump shots, I'm looking at, hey, man, did they not tell you at all to tuck the elbow? Have you never heard of tucking the elbow before?
It's
right?
almost like a 3-step jumper too. Like
yeah.
That with a lot of muds to come in. Like even Marco had that. It's like you got to come here, and then you here, and then you here, and then you release. And it's like, oh, don't. Where did you learn that?
Yeah.
Hey,
But
look, it got you to the NBA, so I'm not
yeah,
dissing
yeah, yeah.
it.
I mean, but everybody, and that's the thing. I don't say that to diss. I don't say that to like talk bad about him as a prospect because everybody comes in the NBA with something that they need to work. That's every sport. Every rookie
Yeah,
comes in with something that they need to work on. If the biggest thing that I'm talking about is just the mechanics of your shot may need a little bit of work, that's easily tweakable. Like you got a good coaching staff, that's easily tweakable. Heck, look at how far Lonzo Ball came. Get him with Lonzo Ball shooting coach, he'll be all right in
bro,
the season.
bro, that's a whole different
Lonzo
story. Like,
Ball shot was ugly, bro.
hey, if you can fix that, first off, who's the shooting coach that fixed that? That's your name. Your whole name is made off of that.
Oh
He
yeah,
shot
for sure.
40+%.
Yeah, yeah. But Dalen Terry showing that aggressive, showing up. Another thing, while you did say that he wasn't passing a lot, what I did notice is his court vision is really, really good.
Oh
Like
yeah,
really, really good. Now
yeah,
he's not the most creative passer. You're not going to see like some wild type passes. But the thing is that I really feel like Dalen Terry has great court awareness to where it seems like from what I've seen so far, he always knows where the other players on the court are. So if he does get in some trouble in penetrating and can't draw the foul, he usually makes the right pass. Now it may not always translate to an assist, but he makes good passes to get himself out of trouble. I like this game a lot for Dalen Terry. 14 points, 5 rebounds, 2 steals, 3 turnovers. That's not too bad in the summer league game, but overall, really solid game from Dalen Terry. But let's move on to some of the other players. Justin Lewis, Malcolm Hill, Marco in this game, to me, it seems like Marco's not being as aggressive with scoring. He only played 18 minutes. But what did you think about the other players on this team that are going to actually be on the Bulls roster in some shape, form, or
I
fashion?
think Marco. It looked like like you said, he was being very passive. It looked like even like he was kind of just going through the motions, right? Like almost like, yeah,
Mhm.
you kind of showed us what we wanted to see from you in game one. Don't get hurt.
Yeah.
Like that's how it seems. Like since we've seen that first game, that's how it seems like he's been involved in these last 2 summer league games.
Mhm.
Justin Lewis has kind of been the same dude, and I think the thing I like about Justin Lewis, right, that I take away from summer league games is that you're not gonna really see as much of the skill on display because unless you're just going to the bucket and being the number one option and getting to the and finishing at the cup and stuff like that, there's not a ton of talent surrounding you for you to make these crazy plays. But Justin Lewis is just so deliberate with everything. He's like, okay, I'm gonna be here. This is my spot. I'm gonna dunk the ball, or I'm gonna be here. This is my spot. I'm gonna
Yeah.
shoot it. Like it's like he knows where he's supposed to be on the court, knows how he's supposed to get there, and he's gonna be able to get a shot off at a minimum, whether he knocks it down or not. He's done a pretty good job. I think he was 3 for 4 yesterday or something like that. Here's the question that I do have for you though.
Okay.
Could we see a possibility
I know where you're going with this. Go
that
ahead.
somebody might steal a two-way deal? That somebody might, because we were pretty sure that I think me and you both agree Justin Lewis is getting one just because he's the undrafted rookie. And he
Mhm.
was the highly coveted undrafted rookie. But
Yeah.
that other one, we were pretty sure it was going to Malcolm Hill. But I ain't gonna lie to you, bro. McCour Maker showed me something yesterday that I was not expecting to see from a 6'11 big man.
And I knew
And
that's where you were
again, I
going.
think they finally were like, go play your game and don't just be the dude down there blocking shots.
Yeah, I mean the thing is, McCour Maker did show. I want to be clear in what I'm saying. McCour Maker showed tons in playmaking, handling the ball. He had a crossover step back jumper that I was just like, "Hey man, how big is this dude again?" Like,
Bro,
wait a
it,
second, what
it
are we
was the
seeing here?
tween pull up for me. I'm like,
Yeah,
what was
yeah,
that?
really good minutes from McCour Maker. I don't think that he's so raw that I don't think it's going to be a two-way. I do think absolutely he's going to be on the Bulls G League team this season, unless another team scoops him up and offers him a two-way contract. I think McCour Maker is absolutely going to be on the Bulls G League team this season. Absolutely.
I don't. Yeah, that's that because how does G League work? Right, like they can sign you to a G League deal, but are we exclusive or do we share?
So if you get signed to a G League deal with that team, you're with that team unless somebody offers you an NBA contract. That supersedes.
Okay.
So unless somebody were to offer him, now I don't know how the two-way works in that. I don't know if you sign to a G League team and another team offers you a two-way, I don't know if that's considered an NBA deal to where it
Yeah.
supersedes the G League contract. It may. So I'm sure somebody's going to fact check me in that one, but I think it's going to be a G League deal. I don't think that the Bulls, because for the two ways are kind of locked up. Malcolm Hill, they extended the qualifying offer. If they did rescind that, I
Yeah.
don't know if they're going to go somebody as raw as a McCord Maker, even though he is showing like he's flashed some serious, like, don't get me wrong, some
He
serious
showed
skills.
his skill set. He showed his skill set.
21 years old, 6'11, like, come on, man. Come on.
Yeah.
236 pounds,
Yeah.
able to dribble the ball like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a player that you want to try to get locked in and develop some if you can, because we very well, especially with Tony Bradley's contract expiring at the end of the season, we could be talking about some making a change then. I don't know if they will waive Tony Bradley this season, because we don't know what they're trying to do with money. But I do think that there is absolutely going to be a spot for McCord Maker on the G League team. And if that happens, I'm going to be watching. I'm going to watch a lot of G League games anyway, but I'm going to be watching some G League games to see how this man develops, because
G League games come on at a weird time too. G League games come on like the Sky games. It'd be
listen,
like 2:30 in the afternoon on a Wednesday. Be like,
I
we playing.
never watch G League games live. I always go, because if you have League Pass, you always can go in and watch them
Yeah.
after the fact. That's how I watch a G League game. Like, literally, if I'm doing something that's like, oh, there's no game on tonight, and I'm about to clean this living room, let me go ahead and put on this G League
Put
game
on a G
and
League game, bro.
watch about two of these in a row, because they only are about 45, 50 minutes. So,
Hey, they quick, bro. You'll turn around and be like, dang, bro.
G League games go by so fast because they don't do commercial breaks. They don't do none of that. They just play basketball. So
that's true. I didn't think about that. That's true, because they usually not showing that mug on TV.
Exactly. Exactly. So yeah, you get the odd one that's aired on ESPN, and then you have commercial breaks, and then the mug goes from like 50 minutes to an hour and a half, and you're just like, dang, man.
Fast forward.
Fast forward. But speaking of fast forwarding, man, let's get it. We're about to head into this next segment. We're going to be talking about some of the comments that the Bulls president of basketball operations, Arturas Karnashova, said during this game when he was interviewed in the third quarter. But first, I gotta talk to you guys about Rock Auto, and I'm not singing because that's what Pat does. I don't sing. This episode is brought to you by Rock Auto. With the ever-increasing numbers of makes and models, it is now impossible for your local chain auto parts store to stock all the parts you need. Why endure office pointless or seemingly intimidating questioning like, is your Odyssey an LX or an EX? And wait while the person behind the counter orders the parts on their computer, choosing only the brand that their warehouse happens to carry. You have computers with access to rockauto.com at home and in your pocket. Save time and money when using Rock Auto. Why choose to spend 30%, 50%, even 100% more for the same parts from a chain store or car dealership? Rock Auto is a family business serving do-it-yourselfers for over 20 years. Rock Auto prices are reliably low for every customer. And listen, go to rockauto.com right now and see all the parts available for your car or truck, right? Locked on in there. How did you hear about us section? So they know that we sent you. Amazing selection, reliably low prices, all the parts your car will ever need at
rockauto.com.
Dun, 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 dun.
Dun, dun.
And that's teamwork, baby. All right, so next up, we'll be talking about the comments that AK said during this Summer League game. And I won't lie to you, some of them were a little bit, I didn't expect it. But the biggest one, and the one that we probably need to start with, is the update on Lonzo Ball, saying that Lonzo is not progressing as quickly as they had hoped, but they do hope that he's going to be ready to go by training camp. Now, I know that most people are going to take that away. I'm reading into that a little bit differently. I'm reading into that to say it's clear. We all know Lonzo isn't progressing at the speed that anybody wanted to. The fact that we're even talking about this injury that was supposed to be 6 to 8 weeks, almost 6 months later, we all know that. So I know a lot of people are taking that as saying that he's still not progressing. But the thing that he ended on is that they're hoping that he's going to be available by the start of training camp. That's a little bit more promising to me. We all know he's not progressing. Whatever the opposite of Wolverine's healing factor is what Lonzo Ball has. It seems like everything that happens to Lonzo Ball, he heals extremely slow about. That man needs to eat some more broccoli or something. I have no idea. But go ahead, Pat. What did you think about those comments?
I mean, they were hoping he was going to be back in 6 to 8 weeks, and then they were hoping he was going to be back by the playoffs, and then they were hoping he was going to be back in the playoffs. We've been doing a lot of hoping. We ain't seen a lot of success on that. So my biggest thing is I don't need Lonzo at the beginning of the year. And I understand like we want to get him in there. We want to move him. I want Lonzo healthy. Yeah. So if that means that he misses the first few games of the season because he's not ready to go, or he misses training camp and he has to slowly ramp himself, fine. But I want Lonzo Ball healthy. And we haven't seen that here outside of 30 games in Chicago. And I think that's the biggest thing, that the biggest factor in this, right, is not having another setback after he comes back.
Yeah.
And so, like, when I heard the comments, right, like the first thing I thought about was you saying like the smile and walk away, like you gonna be
Yeah.
good, and he smiled and walked away. I was like I said, he got teeth, don't he? Like, like it tells me that they're still having to be cautious with Lonzo, and you could be talking about going into month 8, month 9 of him not being ready to go. I don't know if we're to the point now where we're talking about him having to have another surgery or anything yet.
Mm.
I think that could be the scary part, like the deep end of the ship on the table, but I don't know, man. Like this is a crazy. I get it's like a bone bruise on top of the surgery.
Yeah,
So
the
you have
bone
to be
bruise seems
extra
to
careful with it.
Yeah, it seems like at least from everything that I've read, right? I don't see anything that the surgery didn't go well. It just seems like it's just the bone bruise. Like,
Right.
but they can't really evaluate the success of the surgery until that bone bruise heals. Like like that's a heck of a time to have a bone bruise, bro.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
that's wild.
So maybe it was a compound issue, you know what I'm saying? And
Yeah.
that's why it's taken so long. But I mean, at this point, right, like you're talking about possibly, for me anyway, I'm looking at this as just let him rest and find like that perfect balance of it. And even if we got to mediate his time during the season, find that perfect balance of it. Because
Mhm.
I mean, we're still talking about every time he tries to ramp up, it kind of hits that same wall. And I don't even know how you fix that. Like that's if it's a bone bruise issue, right? Like there's no surgery to fix that.
Yeah, there's no and that's the thing there for a lot of people asking if Lonzo's going to need another surgery. Let's be clear here. There's not a single surgery for a bone bruise. You can't do anything with the bone bruise other than let it heal. Now, if a secondary surgery pops up, that means there's something going on with that meniscus
Right.
or other ligaments in that knee, or maybe he needs a cleaning or something like that, a scope or something like that. But at the end of the day, if the main issue is the bone bruise, there's not a quick fix to say, hey, let's just get the surgery and get this healing process on the way. You have to let that heal on its own. It's
But the
scary,
thing on
bro.
top of that as well, we don't know if
Yeah,
that's the main issue.
that's
Right? Like
true.
we've really got no update. Like it really could be the surgery that's causing him the
Yeah,
issue, and he might need to go back under the knife. So it's a weird, brother. I don't think I've seen a situation like this. Like even with Derrick Rose, right? Like at least we were getting injury updates, and we knew like Bulls fans just didn't feel that he was moving at the pace that he should have been. But at least like we got to a point where doctors were like, no, he should be good to go.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, that don't that see. I try my best not to go into PTSD, and then you bring up the Derrick Rose era, and then how do you
Hey,
expect me not to go into
hey, the
PTSD when you
Derrick
bring
Rose
that
era
up,
was
bro?
a great era. That's not a
It was
PTSD era
amazing.
for me.
Listen, it's absolutely PTSD when you think about like how much further that team would have went had that ACL. Like, okay, anyway, we're gonna go. See, I'm going. I almost went into it right then. Now let's get into
Come
some of
back.
AK's.
Come back.
Let's get into some of AK's other comments before we end this segment, bro. One of the things that really stood out to me is him talking about Dalen Terry, his versatility. But and me and you talked about this on the phone, but like him saying that he can see Dalen Terry playing 1 through 4. Now, Dalen Terry is 6'7", but 195 pounds.
Yeah.
He's going to put on everybody puts on about 10, 15 pounds of muscle over the course of their NBA career. Some
Yeah.
people put on much more than that. What do you think about, because this position that Dalen Terry is going to play has been heavily talked about in our comments and other spots, things like that. Where is he going to get minutes? If Dalen Terry can truly end up being that 1 through 4, that Swiss Army knife, as I like to call players that can play that many different positions, how do you see that fitting for, because then at that point you have him, you have Patrick Williams that can
Yeah.
rotate between two different positions as well. What do you think that means for the vision of Dalen Terry and how Dalen Terry needs to build his game?
I think it spells out for him being exactly what we kind of think he is going to be, right? Like we said, he's going to be the glue type guy. He's going to be the grinded out type guy, right? The put me anywhere coach and I'm going to make it happen. Like that's the kind of player that he seemed like he was. It's the kind of player that he seems like he is, right? And I'm not surprised to hear AK say 1 through 4. It's like I said on the phone, right? Like you got some 4s out here that's built like Chet. So yeah, I mean, like when he 100, what is he, 185 pounds or something like that? Like Dalen Terry
Yeah.
weighs more than Chet does right now, is what I'm saying. So I like there's not a lot of concern with me with him. I think how he's going to get his minutes, he's going to have to make more of an impact, I think, on the defensive end. And we've talked about that, right? Like it's going to have to be, hey, I need you to go out there with Ayo Dosunmu and Patrick Williams and maybe Justin Lewis at some point in this season. And we're going to have this defensive lineup that also can score the ball on the other end. But just this lineup of just a bunch of dudes that when they stick their arms out, all their fingertips touch all across the court and they form like a Power Rangers
no,
ring.
that's Captain Planet. You remember that?
Captain Planet. Oh, no, not the Captain Planet. When your powers combine. AK just pops up in the middle of the court and spins in that shirt from yesterday, bro. He just pops up. Is that what the shirt was for? Was the shirt? That's why he was wearing the shirt, bro. That's why he was wearing the shirt. You got a bunch of dudes with a wingspan that's like 7 inches longer than their actual height, and all their fingertips touch on the court. And when all their fingertips combined, you get Captain Carney.
Anybody in the comments who can Photoshop AK as Captain Planet, I will pay you cash money for. I need that.
Captain Carney.
That is
a hero.
That is
hilarious. Take the defense down to 0. Oh God, we've gotten off the rails here, brother.
Man, that's wild, fam. That's crazy.
Captain Carney is great. Captain Carney.
Oh man. Go ahead and do your ad read, bro. Let's get into the next segment. Man.
Let's get into this final segment. Before we get into this final segment where we're going to be talking about some of the NBA rule changes that could be coming and some of the NBA season changes that could be coming, got to tell you about betonline.net. It's your number one source for all your betting needs. Find all your latest sports development, league reviews, and news, including this year's NHL playoffs, which are already over, Stanley Cup. Shout out to the Avs. MLB baseball. I don't know why I say MLB baseball. It's so dumb. Major League Baseball. BetOnline is your continued source for all your sports wagering information, including live betting, esports, and scores. And BetOnline.net remains the best spot for all your sports scores, podcasts, and news this season. BetOnline.net is the fastest and easiest way to check in on all your favorite sports and events, including MMA, boxing, and golf. Head over to the website today and use your mobile device to learn more about the trends and action. BetOnline, that's where the game starts.
All right, brother. So the NBA Board of Governors have gotten together, minus AK and Captain Carney, but we got some changes coming to the NBA, some this season, and then some down the road, not too far though. First up, the take foul rule has been changed. Now that's one thing that we do have to talk about. That's a huge change, bro, because now that you're going to get more transition buckets and you things like that, it's going to make the game go a little bit faster, things like that, because the way that they're changing it now, for people who don't know, no, it is the take foul for people who don't know.
Slow it down because you
think it'll slow it down?
I think it will, but explain what the rule is.
So the take foul first, just to identify that, is when either there's a change of possession, the other team got a offensive rebound or something, and the team makes a quick foul. The defensive team makes a quick foul that's not making a play on the ball to kind of stop the transition. Now, what the new rule is going to be, whereas that foul used to be a 2 free throws, now they get 1 free throw and possession of the ball. So that almost eliminates that completely, because why give up a chance to score twice? So I say that it may speed up the game, because now you're going to see teams more so push the transition, be able to push that. But like you said, I guess I can see what you're saying, is that now teams may actually slow it down to try to run a set play, but then you give that defensive team more of an opportunity to make a play on the ball and get that foul. So I don't know how it's going to go. It could go either way, but that's a really interesting change, and one that I think a lot of people are going to appreciate in watching the game. But go ahead, Pat.
Well, and I think even as well, right? Like you would see the take foul last season, right? And people would just use it to stop the ball. And if you weren't in a shooting area, or you weren't in a shooting motion, right? Like you didn't get free throws. You just it's stop the ball. Everybody side out of bounds. We getting the ball in. We moving it. And so like now, I think it'll slow the game down, because I don't think, right? Like the thing is, you're gonna risk. Maybe not. Now I'm thinking about it. Do you think this makes teams not take it as much? I think that's kind of the question that comes in there. Does it?
Oh yeah, they're not going to use the take foul. Because
it's a foul, it's a free throw and possession.
So yeah, you got to look at if it's a close game, right? Let's say the Bulls are up by one and they got an offensive rebound and they're going down to transition. If that defensive team is going to, instead of trying to foul, they need to get back in position because you can't risk
Yeah.
sending somebody to the free throw and we get the possession to get a chance for another bucket or a 3-pointer.
Yeah.
That completely blows that lead. So
It's gonna put a lot. The Hack a Shack's gonna be back. The
oh yeah,
Hack a
for
Shack's
sure.
gonna be back, right? Like if like you could take the take foul on anybody.
Yeah.
So it's gonna be one of those things where like you'll see them take the take foul on Andre Drummond if he's on the court.
Mm,
Now I
that
don't know
makes
how
sense.
that works with possession. I don't know, right? Like the rule, we basically just got like the skim of the rule. I don't know how that works with whoever has the ball takes the shot or whoever gets fouled has to take the shots in that situation. I don't know how that works, but I think that right, you're gonna see the strategy of it come into play, and I'm glad that they're doing this because it was the dumbest thing in the world to me, right? Because the Bulls would be on a break, and those teams that are on fast breaks, right, and you just see them like grab Zach LaVine
Yeah.
or just
Yeah.
grab
Wrap
Lonzo
them up.
Ball or grab, you know what
Yeah.
I'm saying? And you be like, bro, like that's a clear, and then now you got to have the argument: is it a clear path or not? Now you're talking about stopping the game because
Yeah.
now we got to go to the monitors. Now we got to have a clear path and review. Oh, yep, it was a clear path. Or like clearly you see like the Bulls are ahead of them and they're like, man, I don't know about that. That's not a clear path. I'm still not buying it. Like, all right,
Yeah.
brother. So I think that's gonna be the part. You might see a speed up there because less time going to the cameras, which definitely slows the game down.
Well, I mean, and then considering that the take foul too is usually used to stop fast break
Yeah,
opportunities, that's why I thought it was gonna. I think
yeah.
it's gonna speed up the game because now you get more of those fast break opportunities. But yeah, that's there with the take foul. Let us know what you think about that down
Zach's
below.
gonna
But
average 35 if Lonzo's healthy. Because
it's
they just gonna be like, let him go.
yep.
We don't want to give him a shot and the ball.
Oh, bro, that's gonna be crazy. But two other changes that come. So the play-in tournament has now been made permanent. And before it was voted every year before the 2 years that we've had it now, or has it been three
Yeah,
seasons we've had it now?
yeah,
There's
yeah,
two
yeah.
seasons. It's
Two
been
seasons. It
it's
started
it's been
COVID
it's
year.
been yeah, it's been voted before the season starts if they were going to do it. Now it's a permanent part, meaning it's going to be in this game forever now
Yeah,
until they vote to get rid of it. The playing tournament is going to be made permanent, so we don't need to talk a lot about that because we all know what the playing tournament is at this
yeah,
point. Again, I still think the playing tournament is going to be eliminated the moment that a big market team is eliminated in the play-in, and Adam Silver is going to walk out and be like, "Hey, listen here, I know what we said. We're done with that." But with that being said, with the success of the playing tournament, the all board of governors now with all 30 teams are very much on board to doing a mid-season tournament. Now, the details that we have about this tournament so far, and this is why I think that this is probably going to happen, the fact that we have so many details that they've already ironed out so much of it.
yeah,
This would start in 2023-24. It would involve all 30 teams competing in the in-season tournament. 8 teams would advance to a single elimination second round, and then the final four will be held at a neutral site, meaning you get another event type thing mid-season. I already think I said that this would change the number of regular season games from 82 to
yeah,
78 for now, because I think once we get that expansion, is going to go back up to 82. Keep in mind they're talking about expanding to 2 more teams, so be
yeah.
on the lookout for that. That's how. See, the NBA is very smart in what they do, bro.
They
Very
probably,
smart in what they do.
I think they'll probably try. They might even push off the tournament to try and get the teams in place first,
Mm-hmm.
so that they don't ever have to change the games.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so we'll see.
Listen, listen. But what do you think about the concept of a midseason tournament? It's very similar to what the WNBA is doing, right? They with the Commissioners Cup, they run
Yeah,
that midseason tournament. But
kinda
they
like
kind
yeah,
of
I
they don't
guess
do it
yeah,
at a neutral site. But with that
yeah.
being said, like, what do you think about that? And what do you think that does for changing the game?
Um, I think it's going to be hard to get players to buy into it. You have to put serious because everything's about the NBA championship, right? Like you're
Mm,
gonna have to put serious incentive on that for players to view it as important.
mm-hmm,
And I'm talking about like a guaranteed top 5 seed or something like that, right? Like you're gonna have if you're gonna go, which I'm fine with, right? I'm fine with you going the football way, where you're breaking down like we're going overseas, we're taking from what they're doing over here at Manchester United and in the EPL and stuff like that. I'm fine with that. I think that makes it exciting, and Euro basketball already does that, right? Like Marco played in like 8 tournaments before he came over to the Bulls. Because
Mhm.
when you look at his stats, you'd be like, wait, how do he play for like 18 different teams in
Mhm.
one season? It's like, oh, he played on the tournament team, played on the national team, all that. So I think that that's going to be interesting. I think it's just going to be hard to get NBA players to care about the in-season tournament if there's not some sort of incentive outside of like money on it, right? Like everybody's like, oh, just pay them like $10 million if they win. Like they make millions. Like they don't like they
Well, that's the
care,
thing.
but like,
You don't really need to incentivize. It's going to be part of their job. Like, what are you incentivizing? It's going to be part of their job at that point.
but you have to
It's not
make
like they're going to sit out the tournament.
no, I'm not saying that they're gonna sit out, right? But you have to make it right. Like you think about it. If this is a mid-season tournament,
Mhm.
games 40 through 44 don't matter if you're a top seed. Like you're
Well,
talking about your top 4 to 5 seeds not caring about this tournament in the slightest.
yeah, that's going
So
to
that
happen regardless.
it's not gonna make the
Like,
game. It's not gonna make the tournament, I should say, entertaining in that moment, right? Like it'll be like, oh, it happened. Like, oh, they had an in-season tournament. Like you have to do something to make it entertaining, and the only way to make it entertaining is if your best teams care about being in that tournament.
I mean, the thing is that I don't. Are they are I don't know what and how the games in that tournament are gonna reflect like the regular season. Like, are they gonna because like Commissioner Cup games in the WNBA still count towards your regular season number of games.
Yeah,
So I don't know if it's gonna be the same because if it is, that's all the incentivizing you need. Um, but we'll see. Like my thing is how as a fan base, yeah, we get more games, right? But like to me, I'm not gonna be excited about this midseason championship, whatever they end up calling it, winning it, because it's like, all right, that don't mean nothing for the finals. Like I'm
well,
gonna watch it because it's
and
basketball,
and
but
that's what I mean. You know what I'm saying?
yeah,
And that's what I'm saying. Like you have to make it like those mid-season tournaments on in like
and foreign
EPL and
sports are
stuff like
completely
that.
different. Yeah, yeah,
It's huge.
yeah.
It's huge. Like it's like, oh, we won this. That means that we're guaranteed a spot in their version of the play. I don't actually know how it all break
Yeah.
down. My dad watched soccer, so but like I know that you're guaranteed a spot in like whatever their playoffs is for that, right? So like that means that I think you almost need to have something like that where like you can't drop outside of the top 8 or you can't drop outside of the top 5 or something like that where yeah, it's going to change how basketball is, but an in-season tournament would change how basketball is anyway.
Yeah, I mean, like I get what you're saying. The same as far as like how does it affect the playoffs and the postseason. I don't see the NBA making as big of a change to where you're saying, hey, if you win this midseason tournament, you're now guaranteed a top 6 seed to avoid the play-in, because then that makes standings not mean as much during this. Like, I they're gonna have to do
Only
some
if you
really
win.
creative things. They're gonna have
Oh,
to
for
do
sure.
some really really creative things to get that. Hey, we'll see. We'll see,
Oh, for
man.
sure. No, they're absolutely gonna have to be creative. And listen, and that's how it kind of is. I believe that's how it is overseas, right? Because I think
Yeah.
like if you win a tournament and then like a major player gets hurt,
That's
then it's
another thing.
then it's kind of an incentive, right? Like, oh, we won the tournament, but later in the season, a major player got hurt, but we're still gonna make the playoffs.
But see, the thing is with that is that I'm looking at it the opposite way. You do this playing tournament. What if somebody blows a knee in this playing tournament that means nothing towards the actual postseason?
Well, it's
It's
like
just
blowing a knee in the regular season game.
yeah, true. But they're gonna have to figure something out with this. And then my thing too is that keeping the play in and doing a midseason tournament to me
Yeah.
seems like that's a money grab, bro. And that's what it's meant. They're gonna meant to make money. Because my thing is that at that point, if you're doing a midseason tournament, to me, you
Yeah.
should get rid of the play in at that point.
The
You should then
play-in, the
guarantee
play-in
to
is
say,
like
hey, you get a top six seed, but then get rid of the like. I don't know, man. Listen, it's gonna
I
be a
I
really
think I think the problem with like the play for me, I'm never entertained by the play-in, right? And the problem for the play-in for me is that it's either at least the last couple of years since we've had it, right? There's been huge name teams in it
mhm.
that just blew out the small markets. The most entertaining game in the play-in this year was probably the Pelicans because like you weren't expecting them to actually make the playoffs. And those stories are cool and they competed decently in the playoffs, but do we need the March Madness Cinderella story for the playoffs, for the NBA playoffs? You know what I'm saying? Like, that's kind of what you're hoping for, right? Like, you're hoping that you get a Trae Young all of a sudden just going off, and now he's playoff Trae, and we can talk about this for 2 games. And does he have a chance? No, he
Bubble
doesn't.
TJ Warren.
Yeah, I mean,
Stuff like
like,
that, yeah.
do they have a shot? No, they don't. They finna get blown out the water when they get into the playoffs, but
Yeah.
they here. Yeah, I mean, now I will say
Absolutely.
that was a precursor to what was gonna happen though with Phoenix when New Orleans was putting the pause on them. I was like,
Yeah.
ooh,
Yeah.
yeah, y'all gonna go out like that. But yeah, man, I don't know.
Well,
It's tough for me. I'm trying to be cool with the evolution of the game, but it's very tough for me to not have the like. We're doing all of these changes, but we can't get rid of like uh 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 divisions and just do like your best team in the conference is the highest seed and you play against this, and we like, I feel like there's so much that needs to happen, just like blending conferences together. Like, no, your top 16 teams make it.
yeah, that's never gonna happen. That's
Like,
never gonna happen.
that's for me, right? Like, I want to see the best competition. Your top 16 teams need to make it. Like, I could care less about seeing the Pelicans make it in the Eastern Conference and the Western Conference. Like I think that's more entertaining than we're gonna have an in-season tournament. Nobody cares. Like, nobody's gonna value this tournament. 40 years from now, people may value you winning this mid-season tournament.
We'll see. We'll see how it evolves, man. That's the key. But the game, like you said, is evolving. They're changing. They're making changes to it. And shout out to the NBA Board of Governors for being willing to try new things. Because for a while there, the NBA stayed very stagnant with how they did things. So shout out to them for looking out to that, man. But that's it for the show today, brother.
Hey, man, appreciate y'all for tuning in and rocking with us as always, man. Hit that like button, subscribe to the page, follow me on everything at Pat the Designer. Follow us both on everything at Locked On Bulls, man. Y'all stay safe out there.
Absolutely. You can follow me at CEO Haize, the CEO Haize. And thank you for making Locked On Bulls your first listen today. Now, for your second listen, go and check on Locked On NBA, where our own Locked On analysts break down all the latest news, rumors, and goings on around the NBA in 30 minutes. You can check them out and get in tune with them wherever you get your podcast. But that is it for Pat the Designer. I'm Haize. This has been Locked On Bulls, and we out, y'all. Peace.
Peace.